With only a few hours left before his execution, Daniel Cole sat silently in his cell, staring at the gray wall, as if it held the answers he'd been searching for all his life. The air around him was heavy, thick with that strange stillness found only in places where hope had died long ago. Every sound, the clink of keys, the echo of boots on the floor, felt slower, heavier, like time itself didn't want to move. When the warden appeared at his cell door, clipboard in hand, Daniel didn't look up at first. "Cole," the warden said softly, "it's time to make your final request." Most men asked for the usual things, a last meal, a phone call, maybe a few final words for family. But Daniel raised his head, eyes calm, and said quietly, "I want to see my dog." The room went still. Even the guard beside the warden frowned, unsure if he'd heard right. "Your dog?" Daniel nodded. "His name's Max. He didn't want food, or prayer, or pity. He wanted to see the only soul who had never turned away from him." The guards exchanged uneasy looks. A dog, inside a maximum security prison, on execution day? It was unheard of. But as they looked at Daniel, the stillness in his face, the faint tremor in his voice, even the toughest among them felt something stir. After hours of debate, the warden sighed. 10 minutes, he said finally, in the yard. Under supervision, Daniel nodded once. That was enough. 10 minutes was all he needed. Word spread through the prison fast. The man on death row wanted to see his dog. Some laughed, some shook their heads, but others, even the ones who never showed emotion, couldn't help but whisper about it. A man asking for a dog instead of forgiveness. That said something. Outside the walls, a van rolled through the gates. Inside was a German shepherd, gray now around the muzzle, but still proud, still strong. Maximum. He hadn't seen Daniel in 7 years, yet as soon as the van door opened, he lifted his head sharply, nose twitching, as if his heart remembered what his eyes could not. In the prison yard, Daniel stood near a lone chair, his wrists loosely cuffed, his eyes fixed on the gate ahead. The world around him faded, the shouts, the chains, the murmuring guards, all gone. Then he saw him. Max stepped through the gate, ears perked, tail low, unsure at first. The leash unhooked. The pause lasted only a second. Then Max ran. Straight across the yard, paws pounding against the concrete, his eyes locked on the only man who had ever been his world. Daniel dropped to his knees as Max crashed into him, pressing his head into Daniel's chest, whining, shaking, unable to stop. Tears blurred Daniel's vision as he whispered, "Hey, buddy, it's me. It's okay. I'm here." For a moment, the prison didn't exist. No countdown, no bars, no sentence, just a man and his dog, lost in a moment that the world couldn't take from them. Daniel held him tighter, feeling the familiar heartbeat beneath his hands. 7 years had passed, but nothing had changed between them. Then suddenly, Max froze. His body went stiff, his ears shot forward, and a deep growl rose from his throat. Daniel followed his gaze. Max was staring at a man standing near the fence, Officer Jenkins, a tall, hard-faced guard who'd always seemed uncomfortable around Daniel. Now, his presence sent Max into a silent rage. "Control your animal," Jenkins barked, taking a step back. Daniel put a hand gently on Max's neck. "Easy, boy," he whispered. "It's fine." But Max didn't relax. His body trembled, his growl deepened, and his eyes stayed fixed on Jenkins. The warden, watching from above, leaned over the railing. "What's going on down there?" No one answered. Daniel frowned. Max wasn't an aggressive dog. He'd been trained, calm, disciplined. If he was reacting like this, something was wrong. Later that afternoon, Daniel was escorted to a small interview room. The warden was there. Ramirez, the older officer who'd always treated him kindly, stood in the corner, and across from them stood Jenkins, arms crossed, eyes cold. Max lay quietly beside Daniel's chair, alert, watchful, unblinking. The warden folded his hands. "Officer Jenkins," he said carefully, "records show you were present the night Daniel was arrested. Why wasn't that included in your statement?" Jenkins' jaw tightened. "It wasn't relevant. I wasn't involved. I was off duty, just passing by." Before the warden could reply, Max growled again, low and steady. Daniel's heart pounded. Ramirez frowned. "That's strange," he said quietly. "We just heard from a witness, someone who saw a man leaving Daniel's house that night, someone matching your description." The silence that followed felt endless. Jenkins shifted, his eyes darting between them. The warden leaned forward. "We're reopening the case," he said firmly. "The execution is delayed until further review." Daniel froze. Delayed. Not canceled, but enough to spark something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. For the first time, the walls didn't feel so close. For the first time, he could breathe. Over the next few days, investigators re-examined everything. Evidence that had been ignored suddenly didn't add up. Fingerprints on the weapon, not Daniel's. Traces of DNA belonging to Jenkins. A buried report, altered files, small lies that formed a deadly chain of deceit. When it all came together, the truth was undeniable. Jenkins was the killer. He had framed Daniel to save himself, and no one had questioned him. Until a loyal dog recognized the scent of the man who destroyed his master's life. Weeks later, the warden walked into Daniel's cell, a rare softness in his voice. "Cole," he said quietly, "pack your things. You're going home." For a long time, Daniel didn't move. The words felt unreal. Then he stood, slowly, almost afraid the dream would vanish. When the gates opened, sunlight hit his face for the first time in 7 years. And there, just beyond the fence, was Max, tail wagging, eyes bright with joy. Daniel dropped to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "We made it, boy," he whispered, hugging him tightly. "We made it. No guards, no walls, no chains, just open air, freedom, and the sound of 2 hearts beating in sync again." The story spread across the nation, the prisoner freed by his dog's instinct. But to Daniel, it wasn't about fame or justice. It was about love that refused to fade, loyalty that never forgot, and truth that found its way through impossible walls. He built a quiet life on the outskirts of town. A small house, a garden, long walks with Max through open fields. At night, he'd sit on the porch, hand resting on Max's fur, and whisper, "You saved me." And Max, with those same steady eyes, seemed to say, "You'd have done the same." Years passed peacefully. The nightmares faded. The fear was gone. All that remained was gratitude, and the unshakable bond between a man and the soul that never gave up on him. 6 years after Daniel's release, Max passed away in his sleep, head resting on Daniel's arm. The house felt silent again, but not empty. Daniel buried him beneath an oak tree, the same kind that once grew behind his childhood home. And every year he visited, sat beneath that tree and whispered, "You saved my life." Sometimes, when the wind moved through the leaves, Daniel swore he could hear faint footsteps in the grass, the echo of loyalty that time could never silence. This story isn't about crime or punishment. It's about faith, about love that remembers, and loyalty that never dies. A reminder that even when the world gives up on you, someone or something will still believe. Some heroes don't wear uniforms, and they don't need words. They simply wait, they trust, and they love without asking for anything in return. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it, because somewhere, right now, someone needs to be reminded that love, no matter how simple, can save a life. Like, share, and subscribe for more true and powerful stories of hope, courage, and second chances. Your next story begins right now, on the screen in front of you.